Alright staff, I'm going to be doing a little tutorial today on formative assessment. Hopefully by the end of it you'll be inspired to use some of this in your class. So here we go. We're going to be talking about formative assessment and why it is we should use it in our class. So let's begin with a couple definitions of formative assessment. And according to Heritage in a 2009 publication, they said that formative assessment is assessment that is carried out during instruction for the purpose of improving teaching and learning. To me, the key to this definition here is during instruction, and the goal is improvement. Dubé in 2012 defined formative assessments this way: they are assessments done during learning to promote, not merely judge or grade student success. So we see some parallels here with this definition. We see that they're done during learning, and again, we're not trying to judge the students, but rather we're trying to find out how we can help them. So it's not to grade, but it's to promote student success and learning. So here are some examples of what formative assessment can be or look like in your class. The first thing we have is informal observation. We all do this in class, and we watch students and observe them, and we try to figure out what they learn. So that's one thing we can do, but maybe be a little bit more intentional about it. Questions can be a way to do some assessment as we are teaching, trying to see who understands and who doesn't what we are teaching again. Some conferences with students. Could we try to carve some time out of class where we can meet one-on-one with some students or a group of students and see what they know? Short paper quizzes. Some of the people might use these as entry or exit passes as well into class. In classwork, and again, but you grade it not for a grade, but to see how well the students know the material. Homework can be a form of formative assessment, but again, instead of maybe just a quick check to see if they have homework done, which I've done before, we check it for correctness a bit more, and that helps us guide how we should teach the students. A couple other ways, according to some resources I've looked up, is peer assessment and self-assessment by the students. So these are other ways we can do formative assessment, and that's just a short list of some ideas. So now it's important to discuss why to use formative assessment. We have some definitions, we have some examples of what it is, but why might we choose to use this in our class? There's really teacher benefits and student benefits to this, and I'm going to go over teacher benefits first. The first benefit for teachers is it's short. It doesn't take much time out of class, and because of the value of it, and I know as teachers we're always worried about time and taking time out of our class for things, but this really doesn't have to take much time if it's planned correctly. It's a good measuring stick or monitors the progress of students toward the goals that we have for them. I think so often we keep pushing forward with material and we lack that kind of middle step of monitoring our students getting what we're teaching versus just keep pushing forward and see if they learn it at the end. This can be a tool to identify strengths and weaknesses of the students and identify misconceptions. And these are things that can be important in our teaching, especially when we want to differentiate with students. We can find who students are that understand it, and if they get it, we can push them forward to something that's more challenging for them. And then students who don't quite get the concepts or have misconceptions, we can work with them in small groups or some other form of instruction to try to get them to understand the material better. And because of this, as we look at these formative assessments and use them in class, it really drives our instruction and helps us to plan our instruction for which students we need to target and which students we can give some different types of learning to. There are also several benefits for students. One of them that jumps out to me for this is middle school students are developmentally ready to monitor their own learning, and we want to push them forward to being advocates for their own learning and to learn how to learn. And so this is a good way that students can see and have quick feedback on how they are doing. Are they learning the goals? Are they learning the standards that we have for them? And they can monitor this themselves. It gives students frequent feedback, and that helps them to monitor their own learning, but it's also frequent feedback for us as well. All these work together to improve learning. If we can differentiate and we can give students developmentally appropriate learning methods, then this helps us to push students forward and to be better learners. And in the end, there seems to be some research that says this can help improve our final assessments of them. If we do little assessments on the way that guide their learning and our teaching, then in the end you get a better product. As with anything we do that's new, there's going to be some challenges. And here are 4 challenges that I see to implementing formative assessment in our classroom. The first is we need time. We need time to figure this out, and we need to learn how to best use this in our school and in our classrooms. And it would be best if we can find time to work together, to talk about it, to discuss how to do this. And part of that working together and learning how to do it is just writing good, short, formative assessments that do what they need to do, that assess students and whether or not they're meeting the goals that we have for them in our class. So we have to be able to write good assessments that do these measures and communicate to us what we want them to communicate. Because this is something a little different, and students aren't going to be graded on this, rather they're going to be used to help us with our teaching. Students and parents need to be communicated with. It's going to have to be explained. Otherwise, I can see parents and students just thinking, oh, another quiz or another quiz. Why do we have these so often? And that can become frustrating. But if students and parents understand that it's there to help and drive instruction and help students learn, in the end, it's a good thing. And I think that needs to be communicated. The last thing is, if we give these assessments, we have to ask, how does it affect our teaching? And if it's not affecting our teaching, then it's not doing anything. So it's great to have these little checks along the way, but unless it changes how we teach and how our classroom is run, then it really does no good. Well, hopefully that was informative for you today. And this is a list of my references that I used as I developed my thoughts on this presentation. Feel free to look them up and read them on your own if you have any questions.